Welcome to the remarkable interview series, Confidence Leads to Success. It is an absolute honor to stand before you today and introduce this captivating series that aims to inspire and uplift individuals from all walks of life. We live in a world where confidence often becomes a silent struggle within ourselves. And it is also a universal truth that every person we meet, no matter how successful or seemingly self-assured they are, has experienced moments of doubt and uncertainty. And I witness over and over again that many people often forget that we're not alone. And this is precisely why I started these interview series, because I believe that through the power of storytelling, we can create inspiring steps and next moves in our life. So, my purpose is to remind each and every one of you that believing in your abilities is the key to unlocking the life you desire, a life filled with joy, purpose, and fulfillment. I am your host, Elif Köse, and today we will empower women to overcome the challenges of divorce and embrace a fulfilling life afterwards. If you're in a season of life or someone who's going through this path, tune in and don't forget to share it. I have a remarkable guest joining us today. Please welcome Beverly Price, a certified divorce and empowerment coach who is dedicated to helping women navigate the complex journey of divorce and find their path to a wonderful future, because it's not the end, it's the beginning. Welcome, Beverly.
Hello, how are you today?
I am so good to have you here. I am so excited how you can change that pain and challenges of divorce and use it as your personal growth. I'm so excited all that you have to share with our listeners.
I look forward to it and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, I just want to ask you actually, because you mentioned that divorce is a painful process. I have been through it myself, and I always say this to you as well. As you know, I wish I had met you back in those days, because I know that you would help me step out of that zone in so much powerful way, so much in control. What I want you to do is, if you could just elaborate on some of the common emotional struggles women face during this journey and how they can overcome them to move forward.
Absolutely. There's so many emotional struggles, but the one that seems to hit first to a woman is overwhelm. It is the fact that all of a sudden now she has to do everything. There is no one there to share picking up the children at school. There's no one to share cleaning the house. There's no one to share in anything at all. And so that plus all of the things that go along with the legal and financial process and all the forms and all the terminology creates this sense of total overwhelm. Another emotion that can happen, and it kind of depends on whether the woman was the person who left the marriage or the man was. Current statistics show that 70% of divorces are initiated by women. That doesn't necessarily mean that they really want it, but some of the things that can come from that are fear, shock, shame. Those are really the main three.
It is true. I mean, shame was one of the things that I faced. I was
Yes.
embarrassed. I was embarrassed to go through it because I so was in love with this man. I pushed everything through with my family. I said I stood up for myself and I said, no, I don't care what you think. I'm going to marry you. So then suddenly I was divorcing. I was ashamed. I felt I was a failure.
Yes. That is so true. And myself, I was married more than once and it ended in divorce. So my
Mhm.
shame was magnified because I felt not only did I have one marriage that failed, but I had more than that. And I felt like it was almost like a dirty little secret that I couldn't let
Mhm.
anyone know. And that causes a woman to kind of go into herself and retreat from living life fully. She starts to lose her self-esteem, lose her self-worth, and confidence that this series is all about is such an incredible part of it. Some of the
Mhm.
statistics I've seen are that 80% of women do not feel confident. So
Yeah.
if you figure that's where every woman starts, and then
Yeah.
you pile divorce on top of it, it makes it even worse.
It's the
So
societal pressure, isn't it?
yes,
More than like what you think of yourself. That we care so much about what would people think of us. Oh, she must be the one who is the problematic one. Like you end up
exactly.
questioning yourself, even like, how am I the problem? Is there something I'm doing wrong? And then you start questioning your own integrity to live an authentic, happy life.
Yes. And in addition to that, what we have is generations, generation after generation after generation, where women were viewed as less than men, that they
Hmm.
weren't as smart as, they weren't as talented as, they couldn't do the same thing. And so that's passed down from parents to child and parents to child. And
Hmm.
so you get to the point where, in my case, I looked at my parents and my mother, and I saw that she didn't have confidence. So, how in the world could she teach me? And it wasn't really her fault that she didn't have confidence, because that's the best her mother taught her. So, we have to break this chain. And I think by what
Hmm.
you're doing with this series is a wonderful step, that women can see that those old tapes, those old messages aren't true,
Hmm.
that there is so much within a woman, and in some cases within a divorced woman, they're hidden. And you just have to pull them out and get her to see how much value she brings to the world.
So you are basically saying, like, you're inviting these women to go to a personal growth journey.
Yes, absolutely. That's
It's
how it happens.
because it really plays a significant role in navigating divorce and afterwards.
Yes. And what I do with women is I actually measure their emotional strength before we start into coaching. And then I measure it
Hmm.
again midway, and then at the end to show her her actual progress. And it's
Hmm.
amazing when you see a woman that comes to you crying and negative and hating herself, and then all of a sudden you see the smile, you see her
The
sit up
warrior comes
taller.
out of her.
Yeah, the light that's shining from her, it's just amazing. It's such, I feel like I've been given a gift just to watch her.
That's amazing. So what would you say there's some like key areas that these women need to do the self-work to focus on? Like what are the areas that they should focus on, facilitate their healing and empower themselves during and after the divorce?
I start with the marriage, and I have them look at the man they married and the marriage and evaluate that, if you will. Then I have them show what their ideal for a partner is. And then we contrast who her husband really was versus this ideal, because this ideal is what she deserves.
Mhm.
But most women, or at least a lot of women, and I was one of them, I fell in love with my husband's potential, not who he really was, but who I wished he could have been. He
Mm.
could have been attentive and loving. He could have spoken more, nicer to me and things like that. And many times a woman comes to this realization that she didn't deserve the treatment that she got. And so that's one area to look at the actual marriage. The next area is to look at herself and to look at what her part was in that marriage. And there's going to be good and there's going to be not so good. And so what we do is we celebrate the good and then we work on the not so good. So it involves her really doing a thorough inventory of herself, looking at her square in the eye. And sometimes this is scary for people, but it's an essential step to being a springboard to fall in love with themselves.
That's so good because what happens is during the process of being in a relationship and going through the divorce of that relationship, you actually lose the sense of who you really are.
Yes.
Because you have made a lot of decisions in partnership with somebody else for such a long time, you almost forget who you really are. What is your response to that occasion? So that finding, again, we come back to that personal growth journey, that going into the inner journey to find that inner peace, inner love, and inner care. I think that opens a lot of doors for you. So I'm going to ask you another question on top of that. Like, how can women embrace their authenticity once they find it? Because it's most women, I went through this. This is why I started my journey in confidence. I never had it. I thought I had it. I had level of confidence, and I think it's a journey. But how could women embrace their authenticity and rediscover their passions and dreams once this divorce journey comes to an end?
A part of it is practice. A part of it
Okay.
is asking yourself, think of a woman who embodies confidence to you. And what do you think she does that gives you the feeling that she's confident? Then I want you to watch that woman and I want you to do the things that that woman is doing. I want you to act as if you are confident. And I want you to practice that every day for 30 days. And when you do, an interesting thing happens is that after you practice being confident, you become confident. And it's not being false or fake. It's actually practicing like you would practice the piano.
You
And it's
act it till
building
you
our
become
muscle.
it.
Yes, it's like building up your emotional muscle. And so it's not something that just happens instantaneously. It's something that we have to work on. It's a part of it is looking at her characteristics. If you asked a woman on a piece of paper to have a plus column and a minus column, the first time she does it, she'll have more minus items than plus. As you start to talk to her, she'll realize she has a lot more plus items about her and herself than she does minus. And this then kind of springboards her confidence that once she starts to truly see herself, as opposed to hide from herself. I think many women have a lot of negative feedback in their life from others. And then the additional tragedy is most women talk very negative to themselves. So it's no wonder that she's not confident and doesn't feel good. So we have to change that. We have to change the talk, and we have to make her realize that regardless of what anyone says, she is amazing.
That's so true. I think that's the main issue that most of us do that negative self-talk that
Oh,
you,
absolutely.
we don't realize how much it deteriorates our self-worth. It's
Absolutely.
really
Well,
important.
it's just like practicing. The more you
Mhm.
think about, they've actually studied that there are pathways in the brain that your thoughts come through. And the more
Mhm.
you think a certain way, the deeper those pathways become. So if you're talking negatively to yourself, if somebody else is, you're building negative pathways. If you're talking positive, you're talking
Mhm.
positive. And essentially, whatever those are becomes instinctive. So if you've talked to yourself negatively and think negative about
It
yourself,
becomes your
then
reality.
yes, exactly. And we need to help change her reality.
That's so true. I used to say, fake till you make it, and then I just
Yes,
changed that completely. And I now think you have to act till until you become it, because
actually.
because that's more realistic. Because the visualization
Yes,
is what actually tricks the mind, and then you become that woman that you believe you deserve to become.
absolutely. I think that I don't know if where you are has cross country skiing, but they ski on a very flat surface and the skis make ruts in the snow. And
Yeah.
so those ruts symbolize your existing thoughts. To change those thoughts, you have to pick your foot up and start a new rut somewhere else. And it's challenging and it can be difficult. And sometimes you fall, but you will be able to do it. And so what I try and work with women about is seeing that you um, can
Beautiful.
process those emotions. And a lot of women, when they go through a divorce, hold on to the negative feelings about their ex. You know, they're filled with anger and resentment
Hmm.
and all kinds of things. And they need to realize that if they keep living a life like that, that when the time comes that the end of their life happens and they look back, they're going to say, I spent most of my time being a bitter, angry woman. And do you really want that? Wouldn't you rather look back on your life and say, I was happy and fulfilled, and I was able to create a life of my own that was wonderful?
Yeah, I think what happens is I have been through a divorce, and at the same time, there were a few of other friends or like people who I came across because the energy, isn't it? I ended up meeting people who were going through the same
Hmm.
things. But what I realized what was different in my life and then some of the other women I met, they were still living in the past with the anger,
Yes.
what had not happened. And I could see that was really even myself, I distanced myself from them because they were so negative and they were
Yes.
so, I just felt unhappy with them. And you end up
Yeah.
losing people in your life by you staying in the past and empowering the past.
Absolutely. I knew a woman who had been divorced for 8 years, and she turned to her ex and said, you haven't suffered enough. And late after that, about 3 years after that, she died of cancer. She contracted cancer. And there's a part of me that believes all that bitterness and negativity
It comes out
contributed to her
somewhere.
physical condition. Yes.
I agree with you. It has to come out somewhere because
Yes.
body holds the score. There is a book all about this. Your body holds the score and you've got to be kind to yourself. If I sit here and and tell you um like Beverly, I'm going through a divorce. I hate myself. I'm awful. I'm ugly. This is why I'm and what would you tell me?
I
Like
would
how
tell you, I would tell you that we need to take a journey, and we need to take a journey of discovery. And I promise you that it can be better if you work at it, because I want you to discover that that negativity serves no purpose. But the
Exactly.
positive can create this amazing new life for you. If you have children, if you have grandchildren, it can affect everyone. And many people that have been divorced later in life have a hard time finding friends and a support system. And they need to realize exactly what you said, that the more negative you are, you can actually push people away because they don't want to be around you. So why not do the work to become the kind of person someone would want to be friends with?
Exactly. And I always say, like, how would you treat your friend who's crying, feeling bad, and keep abusing themselves, like verbally? You wouldn't tell them, yeah, you're right, you're awful, you're disgusting, you're ugly, you're not worth living for. You would say, oh, don't say like that. You're lovely, you're beautiful. Things don't work out sometimes. Like, talk to yourself as if you're talking
Yes.
to your best friend. How would you
Isn't that
treat
so
her?
true? Yes. We talk to ourselves much worse than we would ever talk to a friend.
Yeah, you would never tell someone, "Oh, you look so fat," or "You look so ugly. You've got funny." You didn't. You would never say that. You would use the kindness, the most beautiful words to not upset somebody. Yet, when it comes to
Yes.
you, you end up being so unkind. So it's really important. Would you like to leave our listeners with some thought-provoking or inspiring note so they can feel if they are who we are talking about, if they are going through this divorce journey in that level in their life, what would you leave them with?
I want you to think this thought or write it in your journal every day. And that is, you are a woman of worth, beauty, and dignity. And keep practicing that thought. You are a woman of worth, beauty, and dignity.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Beverly, for
You're
your
so welcome.
insightful, your wisdom, your expertise, and helping women navigate through the divorce and embracing their fulfilling life after the divorce is really inspiring.
Thank you.
If you resonated with Beverly's empowering message and want to continue receiving valuable resources and support, I encourage you to join her email list. I am on it. I love receiving her emails. It's always inspiring, always value loaded, and I'm sure by subscribing it you will gain so much exclusive content from her. And remember, you don't have to face divorce alone like some of us did. Having someone on your side is going to make you feel more empowered, and you can make a difference in other people's life by being strong and happy because you deserve it. Thank you for being part of our community, and I look forward to continuing this series with you all. And until next time, stay empowered and embrace the incredible possibilities that lie ahead. Thank you, everyone.